All right. Hey, Lab Goat Agents. It's Tristan and Nick again. This time we've got Random Acts of Coaching number 6 with one of our favorite coaches, Michael Hellickson and Club Wealth. Michael, thanks for being with us, bud. The first time I ever heard about massive open houses was from you. So I love that this is the topic for the day because your structure and step-by-step process that you've made is absolutely sick. So I can't wait to share this with everybody. Nick, have you seen Michael Hellickson's whole step-by-step for massive open houses?
No, I can't wait to look at it.
I would love to take credit for it. I love that you're like, it's Michael Hellickson's thing. It's really not my thing. It's Club Wealth's thing, right? Like we've got all these great coaches that have done a great job with these that, and okay, granted, I did a lot of this stuff too with my team, but I can't take credit for all of it. Bottom line. I mean,
you did like 99% of it. Come on.
A lot of it, but believe me, there's others that have taken it to a whole new level. And I gotta tell you, here's the thing. If I'm going to go sit at somebody's freaking house to wait for buyers to come by, I'm going to make sure it's a massive open house, right? I'm not going to go sit there and have, 3 to 5 people come through and hopefully sell one of them a house. I mean, I've never understood that about this industry, that people are okay just sitting there waiting for 3 to 5 people to show up. And so, really what we'll be talking about today is, the step-by-step process. And we won't have time to go through the entire checklist. I'll show everybody at the end how they can get a copy of the checklist for free and all that. But we'll go through a lot of it and we'll kind of go through the concept and all that. But really the key here is we want to get 100, like between 50 and 150 people out to each one of our open houses. And now, you can take a moron, stick them in an open house with 150 people coming through, and they're going to sell somebody a house, right? You'd have to be terrible at this business not to get a deal out of that, right?
True.
So that's kind of the idea. Do you want me? We were talking about this PowerPoint. Do you want me to share this thing?
Sure, buddy. We were also talking about casserole, right? Tuna casserole.
Oh my gosh. Are you really?
Yeah. So after, I don't know. Tara told us that the topic was your mom's homemade tuna casserole. So I'm a little disappointed that we're talking about open houses instead. But maybe we can talk about how having tuna casserole at the open house will bring more people.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Wow. There you go. Well, I don't know, man. I'll tell you what, with some agents, when you talk about their tuna casserole, there's nothing about it that, maybe some Pepto and a good Z-Pack won't cure. I don't know, man.
Everyone talks about baking cookies. That's like so 1990s.
Hey, anything but fruitcake and fig Newtons, right? Like that's as bad as it gets. It's almost as bad as that Cuban sandwich you were eating earlier.
Oh, so good.
That's awesome. Well, let's do this.
Share your screen.
All right, let me put this thing up here, and I'm going to share this right here. Hang on. Boom. Can we see that?
Almost there. Now we
can. Almost. Yep. We're good.
You got it. All right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to go slideshow from the beginning, and we're going to get rid of the preview so you guys can see this better. Hang on. Hide presenter view. Let's try that one more time. Oh my gosh, that didn't work out quite like I had it thought out in my mind. Okay, what can you see now? Can you see that?
Yeah, massive open houses attract 50 to 150 visitors.
Yeah, but we can still see the so yeah, go to start from the beginning or from current slides.
It hid the presenter view on me. Let's do this one more time. Kill that. It's on the wrong screen. That's what happens when you've got multiple screens, right? You gotta hang on here. Let's go display settings, swap that. There we go. Now we're talking. Let's go hide presenter view. And can you see it now?
It looks really good to me.
Oh, perfect.
All right. So here we go. So actually that was, by the way, before I forget, you guys have known about this. You guys were talking about this in Lab Coats here recently. We've got our listing agent bootcamp coming up and there's like 9 tickets left.
9 tickets?
Seriously, dude. Frankly, we kind of went over. We had 300 tickets, but we had to rearrange some space to get a few more seats in. So we literally have 9 tickets left. So and we're almost 30 days out. So we're going to be oversold. We're essentially going to have to turn people away. But that being said, I don't want to go into a lot about me. You guys already know who I am. A lot of the people watching this hopefully know who I am. I sold real estate for a period of time. did pretty well with it. And now I'm fortunate I get to coach other agents and help them crush it with real estate too. So I'm one of the 48 coaches at Club Wealth now. So that being, I know, isn't that crazy? So that being said, let's talk about open houses real quick. So first of all, there are literally agents out there that have and continue to make as much as the biggest I know that does exclusively open houses made $610,000 in 1 year, almost entirely from open houses. That's a pretty decent number. And, you know, it's for something that a lot of people like to make fun of. Open houses are a great strategy. I mean, you guys, are you still doing open houses, right?
We love open houses.
Yeah. All right. So here's the deal. How many visitors do you think the average agent gets out to an open house?
Probably 8.
Yeah. And it's right now what we're seeing is statistically it's 6 to 8, right?
Okay.
And just went to the next slide. So we got 6 to 8 coming to each open house. And the problem is that people don't realize that they're also 6 to 8 weeks away from putting in an offer. So you've got these people that are coming into a house and you think, oh, you know, it's just the nosy neighbors or whatever. But in reality, there's a lot of people at that open house, you know, like a good percentage that are going to be within 6 to 8 weeks of writing an offer. Now, if it's a for sale by owner, like for example, if it's the nosy neighbor, they're usually really close to actually putting their house on the market as well. So they're within 21 days. So essentially when people are coming to an open house, it's really funneling people down into kind of really hot leads. I mean, for lack of a better term, the question is not, are these people a hot lead? The question is, are you going to be able to turn them into a lead for you? So the conversion of that lead becomes very important. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, dude, I totally agree with you. I think one of the things that I learned from you is that a lot of these leads that come through, when they're to the point of looking at homes at an open house, they're more ready than those online leads that you're getting through Facebook.
That's right.
Google PPC, which is cool. It's like they're hand raisers kind of.
Well, and actually, when you say they're a little bit more, they're way more ready, right? I mean, you think about pay-per-click leads, they're the furthest down the funnel, right? Facebook leads, they're quite a ways down the funnel. You know, then it gets a little bit better depending on some of the other lead sources. Using Realtor.com is a little better than that. You know, Zillow and Realtor.com are pretty good, the portal leads. And then, of course, you've got your sphere of influence and your sign calls. I would say really the best leads, if you want to talk about what are the hottest leads right now, it's obviously sphere of influence are the best, right? Repeat referral clients are the best. Then you've got sign calls are wicked good. And then you've got open houses. I mean, in order of what leads would I want first, that would be the order. What's really interesting is 40%. Now, we don't have hard stats to prove this, but I can tell you that from our experience, about 40% of the people that come to an open house have a house they need to sell. That's a big deal. Right? Yeah, especially in a market like we're in now, right? Where everybody's scrambling to get listings, right? Where there's very little inventory in most markets and people want more listings. Well, guess what? One of the best things you can do to get more listings is go hold some freaking open houses and do them in a massive open house style. So as you can see, 72% of all the FSBOs are only going to interview one agent before listing, right? And in fact, if you go in, I always tell people in that first 30 seconds, they're going to decide whether they're going to list with you or not. You've got the rest of the appointment to screw it up. So, I mean, it's right. It's true, right?
Yeah.
And so you've got to know what to do and say in that first 30 seconds. That's a whole nother video that we should talk about on our blog. But, you know, for now, understand that 40% of the people that are coming into your open house have a house to sell. So one of the other things that I would recommend, because a lot of people are saying, well, I don't have any homes that I can hold open. Where am I going to get the houses to hold open? I don't have any listings. Nobody in my office has any listings, whatever. Cool. Go hit up for sale by owners. Go talk to the for sale by owners and say to somebody like, oh, by the way, have you guys ever done this? Have you ever hit up a for sale by owner for an open?
I've never actually asked them before, no.
Yeah, I've never personally done it just because for sale by owners in my market are virtually non-existent, which is a great thing. But I would also say, like, why not just ask other agents in your office if you can do their open houses? I mean, why not? They don't want to sit there and do them.
Oh, you're absolutely right about it. So you start off with, if you've got listings of your own, then you go to agents in your office, then you go to new construction agent, you know, people that are doing a lot of new construction or people that are doing a lot of REO business. And then you also can hit up HUD, right? So any agents that have the HUD listings, if there's any of those in your market, and there's probably not a lot in your market right now, But interestingly, the HUD agents are required to let you market their homes. Oftentimes, you may be able to get them to let you hold those homes open.
I had totally forgot about that. You're so right.
Interesting. I actually didn't know that. Why is that the case?
Because HUD's like, if you're going to be our local listing broker, you have to let everybody market your stuff. Otherwise, you don't get to be our LLB.
Oh, wow.
That is a hardcore requirement for them.
Interesting.
It's good, right? So now in a market like we have now, oh, sorry, Tristan, what were you saying?
You just go find the HUD homes, find who the agent is, and then say, hey, can I have an open house?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can even say
that actually makes sense. That actually makes sense because when you do Craigslist ads, you can actually use HUD homes. Like when you're advertising lists of homes for sale, you can actually use those homes in your lists and there's no real stipulations to it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So you're going to use it you can do it for your Craigslist marketing. You can do it for your Facebook marketing. You can market those homes in lots of different ways. The key is, because of multiple listing guidelines, make sure you're either taking your own photos or getting written permission to use the photos the agent has used.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Oh, got it. Okay. Makes sense.
But that being said, what happens is even after all of that, even after all of those sources, a lot of agents say, well, I just don't have homes to hold open. And I'm telling you, for sale by owners are a great place to start with this, because guess what? Nobody else is offering to hold it open for them. And remember, they're going to work with 72% of those for sale by owners are going to work with the first agent that they come in contact with. And so think about this. When you go to that for sale by owner, let's say you're the for sale by owner, and I'm going to say, okay, so, hey, Nick, I got to be honest with you. I right now we're in a shortage of inventory in the market, and we've got all these buyers looking for houses. And I know that you're selling your house for sale by owner, and I'm not trying to get in the way of that. My hunch is that you're probably not doing open houses right now. And what I was wondering is, if I were to do a whole bunch of marketing, and I were to get, and I were willing to hold an open house and bring 50 to 150 people, potential buyers, to come take a look at your house without any expectation of a commission, so that you could, whichever one of those buyers buys your house, you can sell it to them. You don't have to pay me a thing. I just want the other 49 to 149 people that come through that I can go sell other houses to. Would you be willing to let me to hold your house open?
Oh, you're talking to me? Sure, I guess.
I mean, who's going to say no to that? Right?
What's that going to cost me?
Yeah, nothing, zero. I'll pay for all the marketing. I'll pay for every single thing. All you got to do is just let me hold it open. And you don't even need to sign anything with me that says that I get paid or anything. I don't want any money from you. I will literally pay for everything myself. And you can have, any buyer that wants to buy your house out of it. Nobody's going to say no to that, right? And
that's true.
You have your pick of the litter on which houses you want to hold open. And now you go big, right? Because if I'm holding a home open in a $500,000 neighborhood, what kind of people are coming to look at it? $500,000 buyers, right?
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Right. If I'm holding it in $1 million or whatever. So I want to pick houses. One of the keys to this is I want to pick houses in high turnover neighborhoods that are in median price ranges. I don't want to pick the high end luxury stuff that nobody can afford and that doesn't turn over very often. I don't want to pick the low end stuff that's a waste of my time. I want to pick upper middle class homes, essentially. And I want to pick them in areas where I know I can get good traffic to my open house. That's really important. So I want to make sure they're close to a mall, that sort of thing. We'll talk about citing them in a minute. All right. So once I've explained that to them and I got them to agree to let me hold the house open, it's pretty much academic from there. Now, let me ask you this. What happens, guys, if you have an open house? And Tristan, you said you're holding open houses still. What if you have one of your listings, because everything's selling like hotcakes right now. Yeah. What if one of your listings, you put it on the market on a Thursday, you're going to hold it open on the weekend, and it sells on Friday? What do?
You still have an open house.
Absolutely. And that's something that a lot of agents get hung up about. They're like, well, why would I hold an open house if it's already sold? Because you can take backup offers and not every transaction closes, right? Sure. And frankly, why am I really holding the open house? Think about the mindset behind why am I really holding this thing open?
Well, to get business.
And does it matter if I sell that house? No, really don't. I don't care.
No, because
by the way, one of the things I say to my one of the things I say at the listing consult, because it's rare, right, that homes actually sell in direct correlation to an open house. So I'll actually tell my clients, I'd be like, listen, we're going to do an open house. We're going to go all out for it. Just want you to know it's rare that a house will sell because of your open house. So I'm going to be fully transparent for you. Part of the reason I'm doing it is so I can get more potential business for myself as well. And they're like, oh, I really like that honesty. It goes a long way. Trust me.
Well, and you're right about that. You're being transparent and authentic and honest about that is a good thing. The other thing you're telling them there is, hey, by the way, I'm holding my other listings and other people's listings in the area open. And guess what? One of those buyers may end up being the buyer that buys your house. The key is I'm in activity. I'm out there doing stuff to generate business, and I'm not simply waiting for business to come to me, which is a far cry from what most agents out there are doing.
Very true.
Do you want to know the best day to call a FSBO?
Today?
No. The best day to call a FSBO? No. The actual, no. I of course, anytime, but the best day to call a FSBO is Monday morning because chances are they either had an open house that nobody came to or they had a weekend that nobody saw the house. Yeah. That's the best day because they're frustrated and you're going to bring value and you're going to like tell them exactly what you just said. And that is the window of opportunity for them to say yes to you because they had a crappy weekend.
I love that. I will say this. If you're planning on calling for sale by owners on Monday, make sure you don't touch your phone, email, or anything else electronic before you start calling those guys because you'll get distracted. You'll get an email with a seller that's blowing up on you or some other part of your business needs your attention. And all of a sudden you'll forget about calling those for sale by owners. So, that happens to a lot of agents. But yeah, I like that. I think that's a great point. All right. So another thing that we do is we like to run contests. So we'll do a $100 giveaway. So think about this. If I've got a bunch of signs out there and everybody else has a bunch of signs out there and you're driving along and you see, 10 different open house signs for different people holding open houses. And one of those has a little sign on top of it that says $100 giveaway. Which one are you going to first?
Yeah, I'm going to go to that one.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like, are you going to the one that says we got fresh baked cookies or are you going to the $100 giveaway? Like, show me the freaking money, right?
Dude, yeah. So,
and it works. It's little things like this that really can increase traffic on those open houses. Obviously, you're going to post it. You guys post the heck out of these things, right? Where are you posting your open houses, guys?
Well, besides Realtor and Zillow, we're doing Craigslist and we run some Facebook ads. We also door knock the neighborhood and we do the whole phone call blast as well.
So the door knocking in the neighborhood, there are great scripts to use for that. But one of the ones I like, what do you do when there's a house in the neighborhood that's listed with another agent? Do you ignore it? Do you knock on it? What do you do?
Truthfully, I usually just go around and then go to the next one.
Okay.
Well, let's talk about that for a second because what's the harm in inviting those people to your open house? You're not trying to get, you're not going to them, to solicit them. You're saying, hey, I'm just knocking on all the neighbors. I know your home's for sale, which is cool, but I'm holding an open house across the street. Maybe you want to come take a look. I mean, are you going to skip them? They still live there, right? I mean, yeah. Maybe it's a fine line, but as long as you're not soliciting their business and you're literally just inviting them to come see your house, they have an agent, right? So if they like the house and want to buy it, you're going to call their agent.
You just hit the nail on the head, right? So you cannot solicit. That's the line, right? And you have to do this with integrity, right? You got to make sure that you're not trying to solicit without soliciting, right? You literally just don't solicit, right? There's no need for it. There's plenty of business out there. But that being said, I'm with you, Nick. I wouldn't skip around that house. I would absolutely knock on that door. And when I do, I would say something to the effect of, hey, Mr. Seller, my name is Michael Hellickson. I've got a listing down the street. You probably know the Johnsons. And we're going to be holding that house open on Saturday. And, oftentimes we do these massive open houses. So you'll probably see a lot of commotion. There'll be a lot of signs and banners and balloons and all kinds of crazy cars and, tons of people going in and out of the house. We'll probably get between 50 and 150 people there. Now, that being said, please be patient as we, do this. We'll keep it to a short window so we're not too disruptive to your lifestyle here. But that being said, a lot of times when we do these big open houses, we call them massive open houses. We'll get excess buyers, people that don't want to buy that house, right? I mean, even if all of them want to buy it, only one of them can. And so what we like to do is when there's other houses in the neighborhood that are for sale, we like to take some of those buyers and show them those other houses as well. And so I was just wondering, would it be okay with you if I had some of these buyers that maybe aren't the right fit for that house, if I just brought them by and showed you your house that day? Like, who's going to say no to that, right?
Of course.
Yeah, that's a good, I like that approach.
They love that, right? And so, and now I will say in the back of their mind, they are saying to themselves, my gosh, my agent freaking sucks. They don't do this. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, it's true, right? I mean, chances are their agent didn't do this for them. I'm not even remotely going to have the conversation. In fact, if they say something to me like, well, gall, my agent doesn't do that for me. You know, would you like to talk about listing my house? I'm going to be very clear with them. I'm going to say, Mr. Seller, I got to be honest with you. I would never, ever, ever solicit your listing. You know, I'm sure your agent's a great agent. And if and when your home is no longer on the market, if you want to reach out to me, I'd be very happy to talk with you. But as long as you're listed with another agent, I really suggest you stick with that agent and give them a chance to get your house sold. You know, you got to be very careful about soliciting a listing in that scenario. So,
True, dude. Good point.
All right. So that being said, so we're gonna go out. We're gonna door knock. We're gonna do. We're gonna send postcards. We're gonna do every single thing we can on the internet. You know, whether it's like you said, you know, Postlets or Craigslist or Realtor.com. All these places, we want to post them everywhere. And I want to now stand out from everybody else. And remember, it's not just potential buyers I'm after here. I want to make a statement to everybody in that market. His internet finally died on him, didn't it? I see Nick's internet went out. So I want to start with, let's see, we're going to advertise everywhere, post this, Craigslist, social media. Oh, there we go. So here we go. The signs. I want to talk about the signs, because if there's one thing that you can do that will get you more traction than anything else you can do for your open house, it's the number of signs that you use. Now, I love big signs for a lot of people because I want to get to literally like 50 to 100 signs out there. And I know that sounds like a crazy number, and it is, but I'll literally put 5 signs at each, you know, leading up to each intersection, 4 or 5 signs in a row. And so on this side, and then on the other side of the intersection, I've got 4 or 5 signs coming in that way. And on the other sides, I've got them going that way. So the number of signs is very, very important. Now, what doesn't matter, it's nice if they're branded, it's nice if they're big, but it's okay if they're like those cheap Home Depot signs, right?
Like
so
the ones that are like cardboard with the little wire frames.
It doesn't matter. That's fine. It's like, do what your budget will allow. That's what I would suggest, right? If I'm Tristan freaking on Humada, you know, I've got, you know, I've got professional sign holders in outfits that say I'm Tristan, I'm cool, and there's the signs are like these big full color professional signs. But for the rest of us normal human beings that don't have, you know, all the success in the world yet, I'm just giving you a hard time, bro. But for most agents out there, that's not realistic for you, right? Like I used a 2 foot by 4 foot, a 3 foot by 4 foot sign was what I had, and I'll be honest with you. They were full color. They were expensive. I spent about $150 a sign, but they were super heavy and nobody was walking away with them. You don't have to have that to be successful with massive open houses. What you do have to have is you have to have a bunch of signs in the ground. It's the impact that it will have. Does that make sense?
Do you think that having signs is more important than posting it on the internet or no?
Is that a trick question?
No, actually, I just want to know what you think, because
I would start with yes, it is more important than advertising it on the internet, although they're both very important. You want to do both. But here's the thing. If I advertise on the internet and they can't find the freaking house, game over, right? So I got to make sure that it's really easy for them to find the house from a major intersection, particularly someplace with a big, you know, grocery store or something like that, like a Costco or something of that nature. There he is. It was that iPhone died on you.
Yeah. It literally did. I had to plug it in.
That's awesome. So anyway, so now, but to your point, Tristan, yes, I think you should have both. You need to go big on the internet. You need to go big with your signs. You need balloons. You need the whole 9 yards, right? So at a bare minimum, what's that?
Ideal amount of signs I should put up for every open house, for everybody listening there?
Minimum 40. If you do less than 40 signs to your open house, you're wasting your time. I mean, you might get lucky and get a bunch of people to come out, but the reality is if you're going to spend 2 or 3 hours sitting at this place, give it the best chance possible of being successful. So I'd get 40 minimum.
Well, here's my question with 40, right? Like how do you do that? Where do you, like, is there a pathway? Is like a you know, like a zigzag or a straight line or a, you know, direction, all different directions, you know? You don't want people to start turning the wrong way, you know? You want them to find the house. So how would you suggest that?
I want them everywhere, and I want directional arrows on all of them, right? And again, it doesn't even have to be super professional. I mean, look at the bottom of the screen. Look at that one that's like it's got duct tape, you know, white duct tape over it, and it's all, you know, I mean, you know, who cares? I mean,
or, and this is what I love, and this was an idea from Jesse of Call Action. You get big open house signs everywhere and put a number that says text for address. And then when they text for the address, they can then click the address and get the directions on their iPhone maps. And you can actually call them and say, hey, just want to make sure that you figured out how to get here and blah, 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 and have a conversation with them and kind of guide them to the house, which is also really cool.
So that is a good one. I'll tell you what I like even better than that is another thing that Jesse does actually on the back, and Brian Curtis, one of our coaches at Club Wealth, does this on the back of the open house A board. So he uses a lot of A boards. And even on the bandit signs, on the back of that sign, he'll put free list area open houses, text open to this number. And I'll tell you, he gets really good traction with that.
That's actually a really good idea too. Yeah.
Yeah. And he does that through Call Action as well. So yeah, I love that. Good stuff. So, you know, 40 open house signs with address and arrows, 40 arrow signs. I want flags and balloon everywhere, man. I mean, literally, and people will give you a hard time. There's a guy out there that's like, you know, like one of these coaches out there that says, oh, you know, if you're one of those balloons swinging from a sign agents, you're not a good agent or whatever. You know what? That's not true. I still like balloons. I still like the flags because they work. They grab attention. The nice thing about the balloons and the flags is they create motion. And so it's kind of like the difference between having a picture on Facebook or having a video on Facebook.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, you got to have the motion. What's that?
One of your events.
Say that again.
The first time I ever went to one of your events a few years back, you had this guy that was selling these mannequins with the signs that are twirling around, which I thought was amazing. I thought, well, that'll catch somebody's attention.
We actually have a link to where you can get those mannequins on our blog post about it.
I can post it up because I think it's pretty.
Dude, those things are wicked awesome. We have them at our events. When you come to Listing Agent Bootcamp in May, you'll get to see. We've got 2 of those mannequins will be at the event. They really get the attention. And what's really cool is, okay, this sounds really bad, but you'll literally, like, if you sit by one of those mannequins and you just watch people as they're driving by, you'll see them like they're literally doing this as they're driving by, and literally, he has literally had twice now accidents caused by people rubbernecking those mannequins.
That is not good.
That's not good.
You don't know if they're real people. That's where you're like, wait, is that a real? And then
they really do look real. Yeah. But again, what's the key? What's the secret to those, right? Is the motion. It's because they're moving, and that motion creates emotion, right? And so I can't begin to tell you the motion of the flags, the banners, the balloons, and the mannequins with the signs is massive. Now, if you don't want to do that, you can also hire sign spinners, where you can actually have live people spinning those signs, and it works really well, right?
I usually hire Tristan to do that for me.
I fly all the way to New Jersey on a Friday morning.
Yeah.
Prepare the signs. I'm like, Nick, does this look good? He's like, no, start
over. And he dances. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
That's funny. Well, you know, here's the thing. There's actually a hierarchy of things you need to do. And we have a plan that essentially lays it out from start to finish. And I know we're running short on time here, so I don't want to keep you guys beyond our time that I'm supposed to, but just understand that there is a checklist. I mean, how much time do we have left, guys? Just give me an idea.
We're good.
Are we good? Okay, let me run through the last.
Yeah, like 15 minutes.
Oh, good. We're good then. All right, solid. All right. So then here's the other thing you want to do. You want to door knock the neighborhood. We talked about that, including the listed homes. We talked about what to say at the listed homes. And there's the script for you right there. If you guys want to take a screenshot of that or grab your camera, take a picture of that, there's the script that you want to use when you meet with these sellers.
Like that. Hold on, leave it up there. I'm going to post it up to the group.
Love it. It works really well, you guys. It really does. But again, keep in mind, what's that?
I'm going to post that up as a separate post. I like that.
Awesome. Just the big key is don't freaking solicit. I cannot say that enough times. Just first of all, it's a dirty thing to do, right? Like just don't do it. It's icky. There's no reason for it. You don't need it. But second of all, you can get a lot of trouble. Like it's a really big deal. Don't solicit other. Like I managed to list at one point in time. I had over 750 listings at one time. And guess what? I managed to never solicit anybody else's listing. You guys don't have to solicit other people's listings to be successful in this business. So, all right. I'm assuming you got that picture?
Yeah. So hold on. Let me copy that.
Okay. So there's this screen as well. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So here's the thing. So there's a blog post. Now I'm going to go into the checklist in just a second here. I'm going to show you guys the kind of the checklist. We'll start off with it. But if you want to get a full and complete copy of the checklist, as well as the videos, there's like an hour-long video of me literally walking through step-by-step every part of this process. Then just go to that. And I know it's a long URL. It's a terrible URL, but just go to clubwealth.com/massive-real-estate-open-house.
Dude, do you have enough dashes in there?
I know it's a terrible one, isn't it? That's like
God. Hold on, I'm not finished yet. Real estate dash open house.
No, dash open dash house.
Oh, darn it.
Tristan, just make it Bitly.
There you go. There you go.
I have to have it right.
Seriously, that's when you really need a Bitly link right there.
Oh yeah, there I got it. Woo.
All right, ready to move past this one?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
All right, boom. I'm going to move out of this. I'm going to show you something else. All right, so this is an example. So by the way, we use this thing called Trello. Not sure if any of you guys have ever heard of it. You guys know Trello. I know you guys.
Yeah.
Do. All right. So,
I started using Trello when we first started coaching 2-3 years ago.
And you still use it?
And I still use it.
That's good stuff. It's free. I love free stuff. And Trello is one of those things that's just, it's free. It's easy to use. But so we've got this checklist. And by the way, what you're looking at here, this is our coaching template. So we have like hundreds of these Trello cards on all kinds of different topics. And it's like all our systems for all these different things. And with everything, you've got checklists and all this. And if you guys aren't using, and I know you two are, but for those watching, if you're not already using a checklist for every single thing you do more than once in your business, you need to rethink how you're doing business. So if I'm going to do it more than once, there's got to be a checklist for it for two reasons. One, go ahead.
Was the link you just gave before, was that the checklist for the open houses or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to take that takes you to the blog post, which you can get the free checklist right there on that blog post. And it's got that's also the link that has the mannequins if you want to get the information on the mannequins and all that kind of stuff. And they're hilarious. I love the mannequins. So, but keep in mind, you guys, in doing this, in following this checklist, we had one, I'll give you an example. I had a client in Colorado who had never done an open house before. And he says, all right, Michael, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do it. I trust you. I'll do exactly what you tell me to do. So we gave him the checklist. Okay. And same one that everybody can download. He goes out, he follows the checklist exactly. And he gets 89 people out to his first open house. 89. Wow. Now, as good as that is, here's what's crazy. He had 5 people that did transactions with him out of that one open house. He had 3 buyers and 2 sellers out of that.
That's amazing.
Dude.
Not bad, right? No. Now they didn't all do it right away, but they all came from that open house. And what's really cool is his average commission is over $10,000. So
nice.
So it was a $50,000 paycheck on an open house that cost him less than $200. So, all right. That being said, if you look at these checklists, it's important, and I'm probably scrolling fairly fast, but you've got to go through and you want to follow these checklists exactly. But the big part that I want to show you is when you get down to 2 weeks prior to the open house, if you're going to do a massive open house, it takes a little bit of planning. So it's not something where I'm just going to wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to do a massive open house today. No, you want to start marketing this thing. Well, you want to start planning and marketing 2 weeks ahead of time. Does that make sense?
Totally, man. I agree. I think that's probably the biggest challenge that we find real estate agents have is that they just don't plan.
That's right.
They just show up with 2 signs. And I'm like, let's go.
Listen, I'll be honest with you. There are not plenty of times, but there are times where, I'm sure Tristan too, where I just don't go all in on my open houses. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, it's a lot of work, and the planning process is so immense. And like, you're right. Like, if you know you're going to get a listing, you know, the second you sign that agreement, you need to start planning for that open house. The second you sign.
No, you're right.
That's the only way you're going to get all this done.
You're 100% correct on that. And the problem is that most agents won't do that. But here's part of the reason why they won't do that. Part of it is because they don't even have a checklist for what to do when they get a listing. I mean, it's true, right?
Right.
Most agents don't even have a checklist for what they do when they're on the listing appointment.
Most agents don't even have checklists.
That's exactly right. But when you have a checklist for everything you do in your business, you're going to, and you guys know this about me, like everything we do at Club Wealth, we have a checklist for everything. And those checklists are dynamic, right? You don't have a static checklist. You're always tweaking your checklist to make it better. For example, on a listing appointment. So I'll take 4 blue ink pens with me, right? One for me, one for Mr. Seller, one for Mrs. Seller, and a spare in case I run out of ink. And I carry 1 red ink pen with me. So I'm working off my 44-point listing appointment checklist. And anytime I have something that goes wrong in the appointment, or they have a concern that I didn't think of ahead of time that I couldn't resolve before they came up with it, I start altering my checklist with that red pen. I'll just write it right on there. And that way, when I take it back to my assistant, she knows anything in red is a master change to the checklist. So now over time, my checklist gets better and better and better all the time. And that's how you build a system that builds a business that allows you to eventually retire. So
true.
It all starts with checklists, baby.
It does. And Trello is a great tool for me.
Hey, dude, it sounds funny, but it's the truth.
Well,
you know, it's interesting because it's such a simple concept, right? But yet so hard for so many people to do.
You know why? Because it's not sexy. And think about this. I mean, for a lot of people, you know, they're all about the shiny objects, and I want this cool new technology over here, and oh, I got to go buy this over there, and oh, there's AI technology now, and I got to get that. And oh, I got to get. It's like, no, what you need to do is get your freaking butt out of bed and show up to work on time every morning. Like, there needs to be a time early in the morning that you show up, and you need to follow your perfect daily schedule. Then, for everything you do within that perfect daily schedule, there should be a checklist. You should know when I pick up the phone, this is what I'm going to say. This is who I'm going to call. This is how I'm going to call them. This is what I'm going to say. This is what I'm going to send them before, during, or after that call.
I need a checklist for my checklist.
Yeah. I need to add to my checklist to make a checklist.
Yeah, get out of here.
I need to plan to make a checklist to check things on my list.
You know what? Get out of here.
Oh my gosh.
Get out of here. Random Acts of Coaching number 6, checklists.
Yeah, Nick is suffering from analysis paralysis at this point. He's in this perpetual circle.
It's the Cuban sandwich.
Let's come up with a sexy title for his checklist, and then everyone will use it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh, I got one. It's Chexy. It's like sexy, but check.
Oh my God.
That's worse than my Texie one.
Oh, you're terrible. You're terrible. I love it. All right. Well, here's the thing. At the end of the day, you guys, there's a lot of things that you need to do to get your open houses promoted and get the number of people you need to get there. Then the other thing that you need to do is you need to convert while you're at the open house. And we don't have time to cover that today, but I think just very, very briefly, it would be fun if we just let's go ahead and how do I make this big here? I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Boom. There we go. Oh, here we go. And stop share. There we go. All right. Now we're big again. So check this out. When you get people to your open house, one of the things that's really important is that you know how to handle them when they get there. So I want to know from you guys, what are you currently doing to get people, 1, to register, or are you registering them? And 2, what are you doing to convert those people after the open house?
You know what?
I can tell you what I'm doing.
Nick and I do a completely different thing. So let Nick go first, and then I'll tell you. Go.
Perfect. What do you got, Nick?
Let Tristan go first, because whatever Tristan does, I'm doing.
No. You know what?
No, basically, I've decided not to ask people to sign in when they first get there. I've decided to let them walk around first. I basically say, hey, listen, thanks. You know, I say, Nick, I shake everybody's hand. I listen to when they say their name. I listen to it and I repeat their name back to them, which is super important. And I say, hey, walk around in the kitchen. There's some literature on the counter for you about the house. I usually have donuts and coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. So I say, grab a donut and a muffin. I say, hey, walk around. I go, oh, and when you're done, just on your way out, just do me a favor and just like sign in when you're done. I make it like an afterthought, right? And because I make it an afterthought, they've walked around, they're already comfortable, and they do it, and they leave all of their information. Because the second they walk in and you hit them with that, they're going to be really turned off. So we have about a 75% full correct contact info on our open house sheets. And we convert at least one buyer from every open house, which is all I could ask for really is one buyer.
So I guess the question I got to ask you is, are you also doing that? Like with the guy that walks in the hoodie and the ankle bracelet, are you not making him register before he comes in or?
Well, but then we're profiling people, Michael. We can't do that. So I let them walk around. Look, for the most part, it doesn't happen. I guess it really depends on where you are.
Well, it takes once, right?
Yeah, but for the most part, it doesn't typically happen. But I just feel like, all my homeowners put away valuables. They put away medicine, they put away jewelry. They lock things up. So there's really nothing to take. And there's always two of us there. One of us is downstairs, one of us is upstairs. So there's always someone around. We're not following people around, but we're kind of like mulling around, just kind of peeking. But people are very, very comfortable, and they sign in, and we always convert at least one person, which is great. If you can convert one person and sell that person a house, then it's a success, really.
So Michael,
how we do it.
What's that, Tristan?
What do you do?
Well, I want to hear what you do first, but the one of the things I was going to ask you, Nick, is when you tell the sellers about what they need to do to prepare for the open house, it almost sounds like you've got a checklist for that. He's got your jewelry away, but you.
Yeah,
I'll just give you a hard time. All right, so Tristan, what do you do, man? What is it that you do in your open house?
I do have a sign-in sheet, but I don't have them sign in. I usually greet them, I talk to them, and then I go with them through the house, and then I kind of ask them questions through the whole house and just engage with them and create that relationship. And that's it.
So how many people do you typically see? For me, people ask me that, why don't you? Because we typically convert after the fact, because we'll have a good big crowd in my area. We'll have 50, 60 people. So it's hard to make that personal connection when they're there. Right. So it depends on your market. I'll have people in lab coach say, I don't understand why you try to convert them after the fact, because it sometimes is not possible to convert them while they're there because there's so many people in the house. Mm-hmm. So a lot of that happens after the next day or later that day. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if we have a slower open house where it kind of trickles in, then I'll take Tristan's approach and have more one-on-one conversations with them.
Yeah, you know what? That's right. It really depends on the flow of the people. Nick's right. But what do you suggest, man? You've been running these massive open houses longer.
Well, so one thing, I'm a Nazi about safety, frankly. We've had agents. There was a male agent in my market that was killed in an open house. And a few years back, there was a woman that of great notoriety in the real estate industry that was assaulted at an open house. And it's for real, right? We got to be safe at these things. So in fact, one of the things one of the sections in the checklist and on the blog post is safety, and it's how to be safe in an open house. But when it comes to registration, I require it. I literally I will set up outside the front door when they walk in, or you are right in the lobby or in the foyer there. So when someone walks in, the very first thing I'll say is, for the seller safety and mine, we require registration and proof of ID. And I'll check their ID right then and there. I'll do it all official. And if they don't want to come in at that point, you know what? That's okay. Because I wasn't going to get their information anyway at that point. If they're going to be that way, then I probably wouldn't have got their info anyway. And then I feel a lot more comfortable about being very low key. And to your point, Nick, I don't follow them around the house. I don't chase them down. I'll mull around the house just like you do, and really work on building rapport. One of the things that I learned here a couple of years ago that works really well, particularly in California. You guys have, what's that? I can't remember what it's called. There's a fee in some neighborhoods in California that doesn't exist in others.
Is it Melrose?
Melrose, that's the name. Yes. So that's one of the things that I'll talk about and I say that's one of the things that our clients in California will talk about is the Melrose and how that's different from neighborhood to neighborhood and how that affects your purchasing power. You can do the same thing with taxes, right? But I'd be really open with them about, what's more important to you? Is it about being in this neighborhood, or is it about getting a great deal for the money? And then I'll be able to have that conversation about, well, you'll get an extra 10 or 20 or $40,000 worth of buying power if you buy in this neighborhood versus the one next door. Because they a lot of times don't know that.
Nice. Okay.
So I'm not familiar with that. What is it?
Tristan, you want to explain Melrose?
Melrose is like when a builder builds a community in an area and they don't have enough funds from the city to cover schools, police officers, firemen. So they then call it Melrose and charge it to the owner who's going to.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Like an extra HOA, pretty much.
Right. Okay.
And I'm curious, Tristan, and is that a long-term fee? Is that something that goes away after a certain period of time?
Usually goes away after 45, 50, 60 years.
I thought you were going to say like 45, 50, 60 days.
It goes on longer. I've rarely seen it under 20 years.
Wow.
We don't have subdivisions here. So it's, definitely. There's very little in the way of new builds because it's so densely populated and every home is like 150 years old. So we don't have a lot of that, but I guess in areas where they're continuously building homes, they need more law enforcement, right? And they can't afford it.
Yep.
Well, and then you got your street improvements. Your number one expense in any city is going to be your streets, and I'm sure a lot of that goes to pay for street improvements and that sort of thing as well. So, anyway, long story short, to your point, Nick, you want to get in rapport with them. So I'm going to hit them with the Ford technique, family, occupation, recreation, dreams, but I'm only going to do it to the extent that I can without chasing them. I'm definitely not going to chase them at the open house, and that's I think a mistake a lot of agents make is they're trailing behind the person saying, so tell me, do you have kids? And it's like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, don't be, we call that eager puppy, right? Don't be eager puppy. So.
Where are you guys from?
Yeah, exactly. It's bad. So anyway, that being said, here's the, we're I can see we're at time, or at least I am. I've got another call here I've got to be on. And
we can add that open house blog to Random Acts of Coaching on the Lab Coach site.
That's a good blog. I was just
That'd be
looking
awesome.
inside there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. But, at the end of the day, guys, for those of you watching, just do massive open houses. Go get the checklist. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. We're not going to, try and coerce you into signing up for coaching or anything like that. Just go get it. Go use it. Follow the steps. Do it in order. Do it at the time it tells you to do it. And then go enjoy a massive open house. And just, don't feel bad if you don't get to everybody. If you have more people coming through than you can handle, that's a good problem to have. That's better than the alternative. I do. What's that?
I was gonna say a lot of people don't like to do opens, but I think it's because, they just expect people to show up. And sometimes that happens, but sometimes it doesn't. And I personally really like doing open houses because I'm much better when I'm right in front of somebody, and they can see you and they can look in your eyes and they can tell that you're an honest person. And that's just a really great, solid way to start a relationship.
Well, think about how much time, effort, energy, and money we spend on lead generation and lead follow-up just to get to an appointment. Now we've got all these appointments coming to us at the same time, right? So I can build that rapport. To your point, Nick, it's a lot easier to build rapport face-to-face than it is over the phone. And so there's no substitute for it. You got to shake hands. They got to see that you're for real. They may not, your persona online, oftentimes for a lot of people, not for you guys, but for a lot of people is different than it is face to face and in person. Because some people have a hard time with video or with online marketing and that sort of thing. So get out there, get face to face with them. And here's the other thing too. Again, by not being eager puppy, if we're not chasing them for business, right? We want to be attracting business, not chasing it. So how do we do that at that open house? We want to follow up in appropriate ways that are not pushy. right? We want to be pleasantly persistent and bring value, come from contribution. You guys like to talk about that. Come from contribution at all times and always be authentic. Just think about, if you were sharing something with a friend, how would you share it with them? So
that's a really great way of putting it. We always say, come from contribution and be authentic, but you just made it clear in my mind, like approach it like you're approaching a friend, actually a really good friend.
Well, and by doing that, you also, by nature, you take the assumptive close, right? So when you're taking that assumptive approach, like we're already friends, it removes the pressure from you, and it removes the pressure from them. So what we don't want to be is we don't want to be a sleazy salesperson. We want to be a servant who cares. And that's very different. So you think about how you treat your friends, you serve your friends, right? You do nice things for your friends, not because you're going to get something out of it, but because you care about them.
It's very true, man. Very true. All right. Anything you want to say to wrap up? That's
it, man. I appreciate you guys all watching today. Go to the website, get the checklist. And hey, if you haven't signed up already, get signed up for Listing Agent Bootcamp, you guys. It's literally, we're down at, like I said, I think
where do we go?
Go to clubwealth.com.
Clubwealth.com.
And if you just go to that page, at the top of the page, there's a banner that's you click on for the Listing Agent Bootcamp, or you can go to /LABC. But that'll take you right to it. Clubwealth.com/LABC. And I think literally we're down to like 9 tickets.
And Tristan and I are going to be there together presenting, so it'll be fun.
I'm stoked to hear it. And by the way, Tristan and I were just talking about that. You may get a little bit more time to speak than we thought. I'm trying to get you guys a little bit more time, so I'll let you know as soon as I can.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, dude, we'll talk forever, man.
Right on. Awesome. Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thanks, Michael. Have an awesome day.
You too, guys. Take care.